What's up, guys? It's your boy Mike Ultra. I'm here with Danny Esquire for another episode of the Pretty Foolish Podcast. What's going on, Holmes? I like the glasses, man. When did you
What's
get
up, brother?
those?
Yeah, I've decided that like now that I'm 38 and before I need like traditional prescription glasses, I just got myself a really sexy pair of blue light glasses.
Oh, so you're fucking Russell Westbrook. You don't actually need them. You just fucking wear them for fashion.
I mean, they're cool, right? Like they're a little stylish. Black frames are in. I mean, it clearly goes with my fucking motif over here. Everything is black except this coffee cup.
And the walls behind you and the floor.
This is my new apartment. Well, this is the YouTube studio, as it were.
The Studio One.
So that's it. Yeah, we took on a second bedroom and it's just me and Rebecca. So this is now my like humble abode for the time being for
So
like
she
when
gets
we do stuff like this. It's cool, man. Like I've put together like a challenge. Like I'm really into like this whole like systems thing now. So like I've challenged myself to make a YouTube video a day for 100 days and I just want to see if I could do it. I'm on day like 24 right now.
I'm actually doing the same thing with my son. I'm doing 1 year of you. I'm posting a picture of him 365. Well, 66 this year's a leap year. So it's fun to maintain, but it's also hard because sometimes you'll forget or you'll be busy and then you have to do like three back to back.
Now I have like little triggers. So like Rebecca smokes. So like whenever she goes to like smoke at night, I literally just I'm like, all right, that's my 20 minutes. And like throughout the day, I'll like put together content ideas and I'll just film like a version of that night and I'll post it daily for 7 days a week.
Smoke what? Are we gonna see a fucking raid? People kicking
It,
in the door at
it's
Studio
fucking
One?
legal. No, it's legal here. She smokes weed. Who cares?
Hey man, I don't judge. I used to.
Jersey's a little more fair to the recreation.
Um,
They were before New York. So
I don't know where Florida stands, man. Like you can get like weed vapes in like any smoke shop, but I don't know if they did. I don't. There's
so
like dispensaries, but it's like medical. I have no fucking clue what's
So
going on in Florida.
speaking of Florida, so do you know about this trend of Florida man? Have you ever heard of this?
Dude, I am well versed in Florida, man. Before I moved, people didn't believe me that that was a thing.
Yeah, so apparently you can just search fucking Florida man and the most ridiculous news headlines will show up about what Florida men have done.
He has an Instagram, Florida man.
No, it's not just one person, like some
No,
person
I
might be
know.
taking the name, but like
Yeah, if you look it up on
literally.
Instagram, it's just stories of people doing weird shit, like the guy in Manhattan who set himself on fire to protest Donald Trump's innocence.
Florida man.
Dude, think about that for a second. Think about how you would risk dying one of the most painful ways in public
It's
for
unanimously
someone that
agreed. This is the
that
most painful way to die.
yes,
It's unanimously like anything else is better than setting yourself on fire.
but he Donald Trump doesn't know you exist, and I doubt that he would even throw a bucket of water on you to like help you. Like
So
I don't know if I would do that for like someone I know, like
how
you.
would
I
you
would.
feel though? Like you're potentially running for president again. You have a lot of like you're literally fighting a lawsuit that had you post a $200 million bond, and some dude set himself on fire in support of you. How would
Well, I
you
mean,
feel as a human if somebody
Trump,
fucking did that?
Trump's kind of a narcissist anyway, dude. So I really feel like he loves that shit,
Like
and
he thinks like that's a fucking,
you know,
that's a messiah, like that's a visionary for the cause. Do you
I mean,
know?
help his cause, dude. Like if he's at a rally and he's like, "Someone set fire to themselves for me. You all should do that because, like, I'm fucking great. Show me you love me," kind of shit. Who
Burn
knows? I
up
don't
his
know.
fucking fan base. But dude, you know the guy didn't die right away? He
I
died
is he
24
dead?
hours later.
Oh, he did die. Okay.
He did
I mean,
die.
and he suffered.
What do you think that 24 hours was like?
I'm gonna venture to guess he had no fucking clue what was going on. He was probably strapped to a bed and pumped so full of drugs he didn't even know if like he was on planet Earth. That's what I would guess.
Bro, like, can you imagine the trauma, like the traumatic experience of like literally like you're going past the courthouse because you're visiting New York City for the first fucking time, and some dude literally just set himself on fucking fire in front of it.
It would definitely like if I'm not from New York and I'm from like the Midwest or some shit, like it would definitely like make it so that all the fucking stereotypes about New York, I'm like, oh, they were right. Because you know how people are. They
So you
don't
don't
do a
get
good.
mugged anymore. You just have to witness like Burning Man, literally Burning Man.
Yes. speaking of things burning in New York,
They're burning up, bro.
fire! They
Like
got
I'm afraid to talk about it because Rebecca's like a diehard Knicks fan, and I feel like to draw attention to the fact that like they're doing well and they've been on a run.
I
Like
mean,
they're
listen, game one of the playoffs, Embiid for the Sixers is not at full strength. He hurt his knee again, which listen, I don't give a fuck. Like sports people get hurt. Like the Knicks might luck out if the stars on the other teams that they play keep getting fucking injured, then it makes it easier for them. They fucking deserve it. But they took game one yesterday. Hopefully, we can go to the second round, and then it's house money after
I
that.
mean, but they're pretty aligned because I feel like the fact that the Lakers are going up against who they're going up against.
Oh, Denver.
Yeah, I feel like
Champs.
that's gonna knock out a champ potential automatically. Like it's always good when two champs go up against one another.
I mean, the Lakers are one of those teams where they have LeBron, so they're always going to be relevant. They're not good. They're not great, but and no one even like was sure they were going to make the playoffs. But like I said, when you have someone of LeBron's caliber, he can really carry a team. And they have Anthony Davis, so like once those guys can like turn it on and stay healthy for a bit, like they can go on a run. Um, I don't think they're a better team overall than Denver. I think Denver is probably the most well-rounded team, and I wouldn't be shocked if they repeated. Jokic has won like two MVPs in a row or three in the last 4 years, something like that. So I don't know. I mean, you're gonna have to watch it play out. It all depends on matchups in basketball, man. Like sometimes the best team doesn't always beat the best team because of the way they match up, size wise and stuff like that.
No, but I mean they're going far, so hopefully they continue the trend. Like I'm sure New York would love it. I don't know if New York can handle it. I mean, people are setting
Oh,
themselves on fucking fire
if
now.
dude, if the Knicks ever won the championship again, like
It
since
would
like
be all out fucking
they,
mayhem. All
oh dude,
out.
they'll burn Madison Square Garden down, which I never understood because then you'll never see basketball there again. But
But they
they
want
will.
to know that going out, they went out on a win. So like if you had to burn MSG down, it would be like we did it because this was never happening again. When was the last time the Knicks even won? I don't even know.
Uh, and I think it was like 72. I want to say,
Shit.
dude, we are reliving the year 1994. OJ Simpson in the news. The Knicks and Rangers potentially. The Knicks went to. I think Knicks went to the finals, and the Rangers won the cup. Like both of those things are currently on the table as of right now. They haven't been eliminated. They're in the playoffs. We are reliving the year 1994. So
Exciting times. That was one of the best years ever. And for movies too. I always say like low key,
Jim Carrey,
94 is the best years in movies, like for sure.
changed the game for actors in '94.
He did.
He
He
had
came out
three
with
movies in 1 year. Yep, which led
that's
to
why
the first.
Cable Guy fucking paid him $20 million, which at the time is like unheard of for a comedic actor.
Dude, first actor ever to get that much money for a single film.
So
Oh, I've
speaking,
been hold it really quick. I've been meaning to ask you. You've been shopping for a Tesla we talked about. Have you test driven them or anything?
I have not test driven one, but I'm not gonna lie, like I'm really getting pushed mentally by myself to fucking hop behind the wheel of one and let it chauffeur me the fuck around.
Dude, it's easy. Can I tell you the process?
Yes, because I know
You
I
go,
saw your video. I saw you test drove one, fuck
yeah.
face. How was it?
Honestly, I test drove the Ionic 6, which is the Hyundai one. The Hyundai one drives much better,
That is
dude.
not a Tesla. That is a Hyundai.
Right. Well, the reason I mention it is because they're both EVs, but the Hyundai drives much better. It's a much smoother ride. It's bigger. It's cheaper. The Tesla, the 3, is a little clunky. I found the Model Y to be a little bit clunky too. The Model Y is much more comfortable seating wise.
Doesn't it have like
So,
really
remember
like good
Mercedes I had
fucking
where you used to
pickup?
click down like this and change the
Does
gears?
it have good pickup?
Oh, yeah, well, any EV does because there's no transmission, so it doesn't have to like
Yeah,
change
but I
gears.
feel like when I've sat in a Tesla and somebody else drove it and like they really like pumped on the get on the pedal, like you
Hmm.
could feel it. It's almost like a roller coaster.
Yeah, because there's no lag time. It just zoop, it takes off like a shot. It doesn't have to build momentum to change gears. So, um, but yeah, I just think that it's not that smooth of a ride. The reason why people love Tesla is because one, they look cool, and two, it's like anything else. Like they've perfected like the battery, and they really brought EVs into like the forefront of like everyone's like mind in the market. So people tend to, gravitate towards the originator. Like people love is iPhone actually a better phone than a Samsung or any of these other companies, HTC or any of these other companies? Maybe, maybe not. But they invented the smartphone, so people gravitate toward it. It's kind of like the same thing with Tesla. That's why I mentioned the Hyundai, because I think the Hyundai I would rather have, but there's like a pull towards the Tesla because it's a Tesla.
Did you get a deal? Because they're going through some shit right now.
Honestly, dude, I think the deals are bullshit because, like I said, you go on their website, it says $29,000, and then it has to find one near you, and they're always over 40. But I mean, they're being pretty aggressive. You can't really negotiate them the way you can negotiate with a traditional car company. So it kind of just is what it is. But the whole process is cool, man. Like you you find the model that you want on the app or the website. You click on demo drive. It tells you where the closest place there is one. You set it up. They send you a code to have a digital key. You just walk up to the car when you get there at the allotted time. So if it's like 12 o'clock today, you have to be there exactly at 12 o'clock or else the car won't unlock. Your phone unlocks the car. You have it for 1 hour. You just have to go somewhere, charge it for 10 minutes, and bring it back and park it where you got it. And you can do whatever you want with it, you know?
That's
And
pretty awesome.
yeah, I mean, it's worth doing just to check it out. I mean, you don't have to be in the car with a salesperson or anything. So it's pretty
So
cool.
the car just drove you around, or were you allowed to like drive it yourself?
No, you drive it yourself, but they send you videos and stuff on how to like activate like the self drive, and it basically works off the navigation that's built into the car. Like it's got its own nav. It doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so it has its own thing. And it just follows the path, and it's cool to like watch it like turn the wheel, and you can see it press the pedal down. But I don't know, man. I'd be like weary to do that shit in like public. Like I did it in a parking lot. I tried the self drive, but I don't know if I would do that.
I
Like,
mean, my buddy's like recorded driving the car driving itself on Instagram while like his leg is up in the air. Like it's
yeah,
probably the most proficient at self-driving at all of
yeah.
them, I think. You
Yeah,
know,
there was a report of a guy who like went to sleep while the car was driving, and he was like killed in an accident.
no, you have to like touch the wheel every so often, or else it's like go fuck yourself.
I
But
think it shuts.
dude, you know what's funny? Like you've been sending me pics of fucking Cybertrucks. How angry would you be if you waited 2 years for a Cybertruck and it got recalled because of a fucking sticking pedal?
I mean, I'd be pretty tight, but I'd also, I mean, I wouldn't want to die in it either. So I mean, you gotta fucking take the go with the bad
But
with that.
here's the isn't if I'm not mistaken, and like refresh my memory because sometimes it's fucking shot, but like didn't Toyota go through this like maybe
Every
like a decade and a half ago of like sticking acceleration pedals? Like I remember hearing like 911
yeah,
calls, like I can't slow my car down.
I don't remember if it was Toyota. It probably was, but yeah, I mean, listen, things fall through the cracks. I mean, I remember years ago.
How the fuck
Uh,
does an acceleration pedal fall through a crack? I can see an airbag, not the plane.
I mean, dude, I remember in high school I had the fucking VW Golf, and there was a recall on the transmission. It kept blowing the synchros, so there was no way for the car to know how to handle changing the gears. And they were like, "Yeah, there was a recall, but we just didn't say anything."
I mean, that saved you about $2,500 because I remember that your transmission was fucked and they just listed it as fucked because of the recall.
And they had to put the next year's model of transmission in the car, but they had the car for a month, and they put two transmissions in it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well it's probably the recall." And it's like, dude, like what the fuck? I mean, I remember years ago Mitsubishi had an issue, and they were like, "It's cheaper for us to literally get sued by every person individually for the car malfunctioning than to recall all the cars and fix them."
Well, I think what was the fucking number? Because the number is fucking ridiculous. How many Cybertrucks got recalled? I think it's something like 3,800. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, dude, it's usually a manufacturing oversight. Sometimes the math is just off. I mean, that's fucking scary, but
Fucking math is
the
off.
math is off. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we fucked up the math on this one. Sorry, guys.
Dude, that's what they said about the fucking VW I had. Every time you'd switch gears, the synchros that like synchronize like the gear changing would just blow because the math was off.
It's fucking terrible, bro.
It's wild. You would think. We would have perfected cars by now, but nope. It's because they put so much shit into cars, bro. Like the car is basically a fucking iPhone. That's what. That's the best thing way I can describe a Tesla. It's like
It's
driving.
an iPhone.
It's like or maybe
Like it's
maybe
not the best, but what it does well.
it no, it does. I mean, like I said, it could be a smoother ride. It could be less clunky when it goes over bumps and shit like that. I mean, thankfully for me, I'm in Florida. Florida's fucking flat. Like there's nothing here. Like there's no potholes. The only bumps they have are like when you go into like a mall or something and it's like a speed bump. So
Oh,
it's fine here. There's no weather here other than rain. Like it's fine. But if you're in a place like New York and New Jersey where there's potholes, the ride might be a little rough. I'm telling
so
you,
if I
look at
were to set up a demo drive, how would I do it? I just put in my info, that's it?
yeah. So go to the Tesla website and just find the model that you want, and then um, click where it says demo drive.
Do they do like trade-ins?
I don't know because you don't really deal with a dealer,
I don't know how that works.
and that would only be if you're financing it anywhere. I wouldn't finance it, dude. If you're gonna do it, I would lease it. I don't think they're one of those cars that are like something that will be good once it's your responsibility to fix it, if you know what I mean. Like so, I think the battery costs like 20 something grand to replace.
Oh, I gotta upload my driver's license, right?
Yeah, it's not really a process that's quick to get started. And if you want Rebecca to do it, she has to upload her stuff as well.
Yeah, no,
But
I'm
once
definitely
you, once you start this whole process, they'll assign you like a concierge that will text you and call you. They usually the number comes from like Vegas or California, and they'll like walk you through it. You can text them any time of day and be like, "Hey, I don't understand this" or whatever. And they're really good. Their customer service is really good, so I will give them that.
yeah, no, I just booked it. I'm gonna upload my fucking driver's license after because why not? Like, I want to see what it's about because like they have a really good deal and like even though they're in the fucking news, like I feel like that's the route it's going. And Jersey has more fucking giga, what are they called? Giga stations?
Yeah, they like giga chargers.
Yeah, like there's one where I live, like down the street. It takes 30 minutes to charge.
Yeah, dude, it charges pretty quick. And honestly, you can charge them at a non one if you get the adapter.
Oh, okay, yeah, so that's fine.
And it works
Like,
the same way too. Like if I'm telling you, you should test drive the Hyundai, man. I know it's a Hyundai and like the fucking the stereotype of Hyundai is that they're cheap cars, but the Ionic 6 is really dope. It's a dope ride. I'm really
is that the
considering
one that
it.
looked like the Porsche?
Yeah,
Sick.
it, it's cool.
So we got about 10 minutes. I think we should start to like get into the introduction.
Oh
Um,
yeah, we have a wild show today. Wild fucking show. We have a gentleman named Mark Cantu. He's coming on with actors that he works with, Heather Rizzo, Danny Ebling, and Brian Saponis. They're all in his new movie Grind. Grind is about these college students who have like a grindhouse like movie festival, and they show this anthology series. And I'm assuming it's like haunted or whatever, kind of like The Ring.
it
And
feels
it
very
just
Cabin in the Woodsy. Like you went to this house or like Evil Dead and like
yeah.
weird things transpire, like all out mayhem.
And you know I love werewolves. Obviously, you can see in the background I have the howling going on. Big fan of his previous film Wolf Hollow. So it'll be cool to talk to them. Talk about them about the movie, about some of the other work they've done. Um, Maybe they'll have some thoughts on Taylor Swift beefing with Kim Kardashian. What is that about?
You think that makes it on their radar?
I mean, why not? It's fucking in the news. Everybody knows. I mean, I feel like I get an alert on my phone when fucking Taylor Swift
I
farts.
guess she decided since Kanye got fat, she doesn't want to go after him and he's too much of an easy target and he's less popular because he's kind of like gone into like fucking he just vanished. Like nobody really gives a shit right now about Kanye. Kim is still very much at the top of her game. So she's like, I'm just gonna fuck with Kim because that's gonna elevate
But
my
what
fucking concept.
basis? Like, what is the basis of their issue?
It's probably fucking something that stems from Kanye West. Like it can only be something that stems from Kanye West. Cause like
The fucking whack.
when I looked this up, like it was really like less than clear. Holy shit, that's a lot of stuff. Yeah, this fucking Tesla thing is really like they're hitting me up like crazy.
Yeah, dude. Sales, you know this.
You know, She already, I feel like she's the reason for the TikTok ban too. Ever since she pulled her fucking music off the platform and Universal did the same. Taylor
I mean,
Swift is like the cause of all bad things.
yeah, man, people are talking about her like possibly swaying the election. Like, she's about as famous as it gets. She just dropped another album. Fucking that Kanye Vultures album is fucking fire. I know he's like a wacko and has done like some and said some sick shit, but he's a fucking, I don't know. That album is fire. Whatever.
Yeah,
Separate
bro.
the
Like
art.
one of, like USA Today was like Taylor Swift, Kim Kardashian, and Kanye West feud, a 15-year timeline. Like, really? 15-year? Are we really holding a grudge to almost double decades?
Oh, all back from when he took the award out of her hands and was like,
Bro,
Taylor is a great artist, but Beyonce should have won. Okay.
it's that like Yahoo was like Taylor Swift hinted months ago she wasn't over Kim Kardashian's fully manufactured frame job that had her canceled within an inch of her life. The 2016 clash was over whether Taylor approved the controversial line on Kanye West song. I guess where they agreed to like do a duet or whatever.
No, 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 no. He said that I think he said like he fucked Taylor Swift or some shit, and then he had like a recording of like something from her, and she's saying that she didn't okay it. I don't know. I forget. It was a long time ago, but honestly, the reason why this is coming out is because she's got like a fucking album that just dropped. I mean,
Bro, she announced it during her tour, which was super smart. The entire Super Bowl thing has been great marketing for her. It says, "Thank you, Amy," is about a spray tan bully. And mind you, K, I, and M are all capitalized just to make sure there's no fucking subliminals. Like it's clearly about somebody named fucking Kim.
mm-hmm.
Bro, 15 years. That's just fucking wild. That's too much. Like, let it go. Like, you're a billionaire. You're both billion. I think Kanye lost his fucking billionaire status, but you're fucking billionaires. Let it go. Like, what are we doing? Like,
Where
let's
people
focus on J. Cole, Drake, and fucking and the other one.
Kendrick.
And J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick. Like,
Oh god, dude, rap sucks.
listen,
Like, it
there's
does.
so
I
much
never thought I was.
controversy about like people want it, like, I don't want to get involved in that, but like at the end of the day, like it makes good music.
Dude, how about the fact that Illmatic Nas turned 30 the other day?
Just reminds me every day that like time does not go backwards, my man.
It does not. No, it does not. Um, I think we should mention um some news we found yesterday. A friend of ours passed away. So I just wanted to say to rest in peace to Eleanor Biratella. I hope if anyone is listening, that is friends with her or her family, that we are deeply saddened by hearing of her passing.
Really sad. It is really sad to hear. And sucks, like people our age should not have untimely passings like that, but unfortunately, so
Yeah, no, that's why I wanted to mention this because, like I said, we've known her for a really long time, and she was always a real fun person to run into, and it's just tragic that she passed so young. So yeah.
but no, we have Daniel looks like he's hopping on right now.
All right, cool. How do you see those things and I don't? Is it because you're like the guy who sends the link?
It could be. It could be, but I'm screen recording, so I wanted to make sure that we capture it. But no, I see Daniel hopping on right now.
Perfect.
Daniel, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
We're living. We're living the dream.
Oh, all right. I'm trying to get my gallery view going on here so I can see everybody as they come on. So, Dan, I will start with you, I guess, while we're waiting for everybody to come on. We were checking out your IMDb.
Yeah.
So safe to say that this is like maybe like one of your first bigger projects?
Yeah, I did work on a war film recently, called The Veteran.
Right.
And that one's kind of like it dives into the Vietnam era, but not like, like Forrest Gump, boom, boom, it's
No, nothing.
very, yeah, it kind of just explores more of the mental aspect and what comes home with the person. So like that PTSD aspect. But yeah, that was really fun. That was I think my first like indie film, like full length feature. And then I was lucky enough to get cast on this, and now I'm happy as ever. So
How did you get into the acting thing? Was it like something you did in like high school or something that like
yeah,
later in
what
life?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I always like joking about this. My parents always used to do that, but like when I was a kid, I used to fib like all the time. So like act up and the stuff like that.
I think we all.
But yes. Oh yeah.
I
So
think I should still now to my mom. I don't even know if I tell her the truth all the time.
oh no, last night, like I'm not kidding, man. Like it was like she was like, "Oh, what's that in that bag?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just like gummy candy." I s-
Yeah,
I had to celebrate 420, bro.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You cannot.
It's a national holiday now. Like you can't miss it.
Exactly.
It's just not fair.
Oh no. So but yeah, so anyway, I did acting in high
Hello.
school. That's kind of where I found my love
Yeah.
for it.
We
Hey,
got
Mark,
Mr.
what's going
Ken
on?
joining as well. We were just starting talking to Danny about his journey from a young stoner into a current actor. Yeah.
Morning,
How
everybody.
you doing, sir? I'm doing great, man. That's my cousin Danny up there. We got two Dannys.
Both in
So
beanies, no less. So I appreciate it.
Oh wait. Oh yeah.
you
What's
guys are
up?
twins.
Perfect.
That's
How's it
awesome,
going?
man. Yeah, no, I find that the beanie is just a reliable go-to more than a fitted. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
have that much hair though. I used to. I cut it off.
Honestly.
It's very, very sad the day it happened.
I gotta
Yeah, I
tell you
used
though.
to have uh-huh.
Well, I was gonna say Mark's drinking out of a Top Gun Maverick cup. I just wanted to give him the thumbs up. It's a great movie.
That's
I
There
fantastic.
you
actually
go.
watched it the other day. Like, if I never thought he'd be able to do a sequel to Top Gun that would be that successful, and it was insane.
Good
We have
morning,
Mr.
Brian Taponis.
Good
Yeah.
morning, crew.
going on, sir. How are you?
Hello, Brian.
Doing well. How are you all doing?
Hey,
Doing
great. We're
great.
just on Heather, but I'm sure she'll be here soon. So, all right. So, welcome everyone. We are the Pretty Foolish Podcast. We are fans of Wolf Hollow. I love a great
Awesome.
werewolf story. I actually am in the process of writing a I keep saying vampire werewolf novella. So I'm a huge fan. As you can see, I have the howling in the background on my thing. So I know some of you guys have worked together on that film. And is that what brought you guys to work together again, or is it just happenstance that you were working together again?
Mark.
You know what? It's like an abusive marriage where like you want to get out and you just can't, and you're like, well, we have so much invested already, so we kind of have to stay together for the kids.
Yeah.
And Brian Taponis and I are having a baby named Wes Brantley now, so like we have to stay together.
Nice, nice.
So you know,
You're
But
married-
all kidding aside, I love Brian's opponent. So I love Brian. So like it was kind of like a foregone conclusion. It was like the moment you're coming up with stuff, you're like, all right, what's gonna fit Brian's style? What's gonna fit things that he can do as well? And then I've just honestly, I haven't seen a lot of stuff with Brian where he gets to be funny all the time and like ridiculous and over the top. And I've only seen like maybe one or two things with him do. Other than that, it's all kind of drama. And I'm like, he's super funny, and I know he can show that. So that was why.
Well, thank you, Mark. Just when I thought I was out, he pulls me right back in.
I know.
Before my cousin Danny has a question, I just wanted to ask this to Brian specifically because I saw that you pursued pro volleyball in some European country. I gotta ask. I mean, I like volleyball. How does one go from like, it said you worked in finance and then you did that and now you're acting. How did you get into like the
First
pro
off, props to a volleyball professional because I've watched the sport. It's not easy.
No.
It's not easy.
That honestly, Mike, that is a entire podcast in and of itself to go through that story because there is so much that happened along the way that to this day I can't explain, and things just kind of fell into place. But I mean, there was a lot of work and effort that went into it. But yeah, it was. I was fortunate enough to spend the better part of a decade over in Europe playing in Switzerland and Ireland and Norway, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun.
Heather, welcome. We're
Hello,
talking about
Heather.
Hi,
with Mark.
how are you?
Good. Have you played are you a volleyball enthusiast as well or no?
I like basketball.
Basketball. Okay. I'm a Knicks fan, as you can see. So,
And my son is too. He loves it.
The Knicks
Dude,
were
one
fucking
last-
kicking ass yesterday, man.
dude,
I know.
they're gonna
That was a
set
great
Madison
game.
Square Garden on
Hopefully,
fire.
hopefully all the good vibes everybody's sending their way keeps them going because every Knicks fan is kind of like holding their breath right now, like just a little further.
Well, I'll tell you guys right now, I'm a Spurs fan. Like I'm a massive Spurs fan. I have been forever. And even I have fucking absolute love for the Knicks. I'm just like, I want there to be great New York basketball. Like I loved it in the 80s and 90s when it was like Ewing, Oakley, John Starks. I'm like, that was like perfect basketball to me. So I have a lot of respect for the Knicks. So
That was a scary team because Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing will hit you, and like God forbid you had to drive the paint against either one of them. Like
right.
it's gonna be
And even
painful.
Charles Smith to like a certain degree, like he was
Yeah.
still kind of like a pretty good sized guy. So
Yeah, John Starks was like my first idol. Like I love John Starks when he played.
yeah. No, those were
And
good teams, man. So I'm glad the Knicks are back. So
whenever I talk to anybody much younger than me, I'm just like, I mentioned that I saw Michael Jordan play like in real life at Madison Square Garden. They're like dumbfounded, like because kids today they just know him for the
how did that
play
happen?
ball. Like
Like you can't
It's like the
possibly age that way.
and he
No.
was a rapper. So
Hmm.
all right, so Heather, I know like well from what I can understand, you primarily model. So how did you
Yeah.
get into the whole acting thing?
Well, I've been doing both on and off for years. I've done acting as well as modeling. It's just modeling just kind of took off
Mhm.
big time, especially during that COVID. A lot of freelancing, modeling opportunities just kicked off, and I love it. I just love art. Anything in the arts. The people are just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I feel like modeling is probably harder because you're expressing yourself almost silently. So
It's challenging, but I love a challenge. I think that's what it is. I think sometimes when you just get a white wall and you just meet this photographer and you don't necessarily have a set plan and you're just winging it and you're like, all right, let's make something. There's no props,
Right.
nothing. And you have to use your body, lighting, whatever it may be. I love it. I think it's great.
yeah, I would love to get my son into modeling. He's 2 and he's the most adorable person on earth, but I don't know. I don't know if it's like something I should do because he's so young. So any advice you can give me on that, I would totally appreciate.
As long as he's having fun, as long as it's cool, everyone's enjoying themselves. I think that's really what it's about.
I'm afraid he's gonna bite somebody.
Well,
That's,
He
that's
kind of does that now that he gets like a little mad. Like he bites. He's adorable.
come with one of
but
those caution things that are like on the fence of like the beware of dog,
Yeah.
might bite. Or...
You wear a baby with 17 teeth. So everybody is Grind. All right. Can you give us some background on Grind? Tell us
Yeah.
about the film. And
How did this come together? Like this, like you honestly, like I can feel the culture from here. Like you guys really seem like you sync up super well. So definitely interested on how Grind got put together from where you guys originated to where you're at now. Because it's due out next year at some point, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna actually start shooting here. We are gonna do like a quick preliminary shoot in July, and then we do a bulk of our shooting in August. But yeah, like I mean, the original idea literally it came from, and Saponis and I have told this story before, where I was literally on a break from Wolf Hollow. I was tired, I was exhausted, and I had gotten to a point where like I had a mental breakdown, and I was like, I'm done. I'm gonna check out for a while. I can't do anything. And I think literally it was kind of like capping a well. It was like as soon as I undid whatever like a crazy thing I was going through, the moment I took that and put it away, all of a sudden all these brand new ideas just came flooding out, and I was like, where the hell is this coming from? And so the short version of that is that all of a sudden within about a week or so, I had a story, I had a concept, I had a really good idea of the character that came out to become Wes Brantley. I had a really good idea of like what I wanted to do with that. And then honestly, it was just a matter of just saying, okay, if I'm going to make this movie, I want to do it with the people that I care about and that I absolutely love being around. And so that's why Saponis is the first domino to fall in that equation. Heather was like, I think like the second or third person I actually reached out to, even though she only did a day on Wolf Hollow. Her attitude, her willingness to just kind of be out there and just be a scream queen, because we had kind of had some conversations, but being on set was the first time we actually met. Even just that experience with her was absolutely amazing. So that's how we kind of slowly roped in everybody from all corners. And then Daniel was he was one of the ones we cast, like we did a casting call, and he was head and shoulders above kind of everybody else. We were just like, that's got to be the guy. That's definitely got to be him. So, we've been extraordinarily lucky, to say the least.
That must be a cool feeling to be the guy, Danny. You know,
I know,
What
yeah.
a guy.
I
What is
mean,
that? Is a Spy Kids 3 thing or whatever? He's the guy.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Don't quote me on that he's the
feeling,
guy,
so.
because then he's gonna let that get to his head, and he's like,
No.
"Well, Mark, I am the guy." He's gonna say that on set all the time now.
So I mean, so I know you mentioned Scream Queen, and just looking at Heather, she looks like a classic. She looks like someone that would have been like in a string of like John Carpenter movies in like the '80s. Like she reminds me of Adrienne Barbeau a little bit. And I know, speaking of Scream Queens, you worked with Felissa Rose a bunch. She's like a legend, dude, in the genre business. How did that relationship come to be?
So Felissa, actually, it's always an odd thing. Like whenever you kind of track these things, is we did a movie. Saponis and I did our first movie together, which was Massacre Academy, and we had a great time doing that. We were on a really small budget, but our producer at the time kind of reached out and was like, I think I can get us Felissa Rose for a day, for literally like just half of a day. And we're like, that's fine. I think we can make it work. And so we brought Felissa in, and anybody who's met Felissa knows that the moment she walks in a room, she is the light of that room. Like she lights everything up. Her energy is infectious. She's so gracious. It's wonderful to have her even just on set. And the energy that she brings, it was like, we have to have her back in some way, shape, or form. And so when we did Wolf Hollow, we reached out again and we were like, hey, can we maybe talk about having you come onto that? So she came onto Wolf Hollow, had a great experience again. And so as I was starting Grind, I reached out to our producer, Dan Kearney, and he was talking about it, and he said, I think I can get Felissa for this. Do you want her for the lead? And I was like, if we can swing her for the lead here, that would be amazing. So Felissa, I think at this point is scheduled for 6 to 7 days with us. Like she's with us for a good chunk of the shoot now.
That's awesome.
So it's absolutely amazing. Like I said, you always want to surround yourself with those types of people because they make the shoot so much quicker. And everybody kind of falls in line. If you look from the top down, all of a sudden everybody says, oh, that's how we're supposed to kind of flow from here. There's no divas on set. There's no attitudes. There's no nothing. It just makes everything go by much, much quicker and more efficiently at that point. So
that's awesome.
So one thing I'm curious about, and you guys do horror films, and I love horror films. Like I'm a huge like genre nut when it comes to that. And I've always wondered, and I feel like different people have different views on this. When it comes to the jump scenes and scaring everybody, do you plan them? Or is it like just, we're actually going to scare the shit out of this person? Because I always wonder, like, when you look for authenticity in screams, like, what is that filming process like for you guys?
I can just speak from my end. I know that there are sometimes it is planned. Other times you do find things on the day. And then other times, like I said, where I actually have a great relationship with Saponis, where he's able to actually come in post with me, and we sit and we kind of go through the edit sometimes and just sit there and go, this isn't working, that isn't working. And sometimes even then, like I said, even like on Wolf Hollow or Massacre, we would find little moments here and there and just kind of say, let's juice that one just a little bit. There's a little bit of extra something on that. But that's been my experience. Saponis, I don't know if do you and Jesse have anything like that too, where you guys kind of find that on the day? Or
yeah, we also we have between scenes where it's not planned scaring, which we did with Christina.
Yeah,
one day. So there's the absolutely scaring happening. Sometimes it's not on camera. Yeah, you do plan. We do plan a lot of it. But you try and find that balance where it's planned, but you also want to make it authentic and in the moment, which is sometimes hard to do. But sometimes you tell them a little bit, just enough to kind of say, here's what we're doing, and then you don't tell them the full impact until you're actually shooting sometimes. So it's amazing.
Movie magic.
Yes, exactly.
What directed you guys towards horror? Because we've had, other people in film, and I'm always interested in hearing like why you chose a genre that you chose.
Well, for me, I mean, this is my last one for right now. Like I said, I'm kind of moving on from this. So, like, so to me, I'm trying to pull out all the stops and just blow everything out of my system as much as I can. Um, as far as I'm concerned, like I said, horror movies are tough. Like they're extraordinarily tough. There's a lot of design that goes in. Like you're saying, there's a lot of scares, a lot of, blood, guts. There's a lot on the technical side. And so to me, like I said, there's always that challenge, and I appreciate that challenge. I love doing that. And so to me, it helps kind of make everything feel like Halloween. Like when everybody's on set, everybody gets to dress up and play and kind of, put the makeup on and masks and costumes. So for me, that's why I do it. But I also know like people like Heather, like when we initially talked, I think if I'm remembering the email correctly, Heather, it was something like, I just want to be like a scream queen, or I just want to die on screen, or like that was like her first couple of messages to me. And I was like, there you go. Like whoever, like I need to work with this person. So for people like Heather, like it's something that you're always just kind of aiming for. I mean, am I right, Heather?
You're 100% right. I said my bucket list is to die in a horror movie.
I mean, don't blow the movie. So we don't want to find out until we see it if you actually do.
Maybe
Yeah.
I came back to life. Maybe I didn't die. Maybe I did die. I don't know.
Did
Well,
you find?
I will say this. I will say this. I know you guys are complimenting Heather on how beautiful she is, and like she looks like a model from like the Carpenter era. And yet, my dumb decision is to completely put her in makeup and put her behind all this prosthetics this time. In Wolf Hollow, she's like I said, front and center. She's the first person you see in the movie. And in Grind, she's gonna wind up being unrecognizable, but in the best way possible. So
Did you find wearing like the prosthetics and stuff like challenging? Because we're currently watching Fallout, and Walton Goggins, who plays the ghoul, was saying how like it's a lot of fun, but it's like hours of makeup, and it can get a lot.
Well, I actually haven't worn them yet. We have to have
yeah.
a date scheduled to try everything on and kind of take some pictures, right, Mark? Am I correct?
yeah, so we've
Right.
actually got her entire suit, her body suit's actually being constructed in Phoenix right now, and her facial prosthetic, the silicone mask, that actually just came in from Japan, so she hasn't put everything on yet. But that's a whole conversation of like, how is she going to move? How do we light her? How do we do this? How do we do that? So those days are coming up probably in the next like couple of months before we shoot with her. But I think those are the things that we're looking forward to the most is like Heather was saying earlier with like modeling, it's finding the language and going, I know this is kind of what I have in my head, but here's the reality of what I'm actually in. How do I use that? How do I move that as the instrument of communication? So I think that's always the challenge. And again, that's the fun part of going, okay, what are we going to do? How do we figure this out?
Yeah, it sounds really exciting to be able to put on all that stuff and like look in the mirror and not see the person you see every day. And I don't know. Do you think that helps you get into the character by seeing a different person in the mirror, or is it kind of like a mind's eye thing where like your expectation of what you're going to look like? I mean, I have no acting background, so I feel like seeing something like in the mirror, like when I have all that makeup on, like it could be kind of jarring. I feel like, it might help, to have it on, like when you're reading the script before you have all the stuff on it, you might not know exactly how you want to play it. But then once you see yourself, you're like, I got it.
You know what? I think that's actually a great point because that actually helps a lot with modeling as well. When a photographer has a mirror off to the side and you can kind of see what you're doing, it does help. So I think it's like a mental and visual connection. That's just for me at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It sounds like fun to wear all that stuff though.
Mhm.
I mean,
Well, and Saponis has actually worn like the wolf suits as well in Wolf Hollow. So, I mean, even to that point, and then even more to the point was like in Masker Academy, where he's wearing a mask and he's in a completely different costume. And so watching Saponis kind of work out those types of things, that was interesting. But I think, like I said, it's interesting to see how it changes posture and how it changes, how they move in the rhythm and the cadence of even just their walking. So
badass.
Since you guys are getting everything ready to film, what goes into building the right trailer for a horror movie without giving away anything? Because like you obviously want to show screams and everything, and you want to give the feel of the movie, but there's a lot that you could potentially blow. And I've seen horror movies completely trash it just to give away enough that it hopefully gets
Yeah.
some attention. But you guys have had some really good trailers. So like what goes into that for you guys?
Um, for me, honestly, like because I'm editing, I'm doing the bulk of the post-production stuff. For me, it's the rhythm of it. It's I have to find the right piece of music, and I'll sit for hours and just kind of go through the right piece of music because it has to kind of have that rhythm for me. But then within that, you still have to kind of say, okay, now I have to tell a quick story in like a minute or two. And within that, you're absolutely right. Like you don't want to spoil everything. So even then, like in situations like on Massacre, I've punted to Saponis where I'm just like, all right, take a look at that. Do I need to pull a shot out here? Do I need to, what do I need to do? So it's a little bit of your instinct and your intuition, and then all of a sudden it comes down to um, kind of partnering with people that you absolutely trust and say, tell me whether this sucks or not. Just being absolutely truthful with each other. So
That's super.
I want to gear this towards Danny really quick. Since this being one of your first big projects, are you like a horror fan, or are you kind of like in that mode where you're just auditioning for a bunch of different things and seeing what sticks?
So it's kind of a mix of both. I loved horror growing up. The Friday the 13th movies. Every time when ABC Family was a thing, they do the 31 Days of Halloween. And I would always sit down and watch all of them because I like, the old slasher films where like it's fake, but it just makes it so fun.
They're the best.
Oh yeah. So I was a good horror fan growing up. But then in terms of just auditioning for stuff, I'm kind of throwing it out there and trying to find what sticks just because trying to get my foot in the door and so, when I was, I've gone a lot of platforms, like there's like Backstage or stuff like that. But then my one friend was like, Facebook filmmakers page for Pittsburgh. And I was like, okay, I'll take a look. And I'm like scrolling through, and then I see Grind. And I'm like, oh, this seems really cool. Hold up, wait a minute. And so I had my friend help me record a tape, and I put it in, and I did not expect to get it, but I'm very happy that I did because it's a fun time. So yeah, just throwing it out there, trying to find what sticks, and also being a somewhat horror fan. Not massive, but just
I got you.
So when you did the video, right? And I don't know what your guys' process is, but like, Dan, did you have to like read a specific scene from the movie so they could see what it was? If you did, what kind of scene was it?
yeah, it was so I don't know
If you could
how,
say
I
it.
don't want to
If you
say
could
the
say
wrong
it.
thing, Mark, but
Yeah.
like
you can
I
say
don't
it.
know.
It's fine. It's all good.
okay, I don't want to like spoil anything. Well, it was like a scene between, my character Hutch and Joey and kind of like this like flirtatious banner type thing. Um and that was mainly like the main first initial audition for that. And then Mark got back to me and he sent me, I think it was two more slot or sides. It was for a scene where like it was very dramatic.
Mm.
And so like having the show like a wide range of emotion and that kind of thing. So yeah, the first one was kind of nice and playful, and the second one's a little bit more dramatic. And but yeah, no, after I got them, I was like, okay, let's hope these stick, and then it ended up paying off. So
That's so cool. It's so crazy. Like you guys must get a ton. Like obviously, Dan, from your side, there's a lot of people going in for castings. Heather, you as well. And then, you guys have a lot of decisions to make. Like, what do you ultimately look for and who's going to make the cut?
Uh, Honestly, I would say because our casting process is kind of by committee. I mean, wouldn't you say that, Saponis? Is that about? Because I mean, we're all kind of in on the decision at that point.
So it's like a panel that you guys do. There'll be like 3 or 4 of you and decide what that looks like.
So initially, what we'll do is I'll usually post, what we're looking for, and I get the emails and submissions and everything else. And so what happens after that is I'll kind of filter them out to everybody and say, okay, look, here's the 7 that we got today. And in those emails, I'll kind of put my feedback and my notes and things like that and say, here's what I liked, here's what I didn't like, here's, I think this person's strong with this or whatever. And so we'll kind of go through that process. And even with Grind, Daniel's absolutely right, where it was kind of a process where we had kind of decided on the back end, okay, for the first side, let's give something kind of playful and, on one side of the spectrum. And then if we do the second round of callbacks with them, let's give them something a bit more to chew on. And then after that, let's see if they take notes really well or if they kind of respond to this. And even within that process, like it's so funny because you see so many people, you see so many personalities, honestly. You also want somebody, as much as you can kind of gauge it through a callback or a test, is you want somebody who's going to be a good person. Like that's the biggest thing for us too. Because Saponis and I have been on enough sets where it's like you've dealt with divas, you've dealt with people that slow things down, and you don't want that. You don't want anybody kind of throwing a monkey wrench and everything. You want people that are going to help the day move, and that's going to be a team player. So you kind of try to get that as much as you possibly can through a sense, through tests and communication, things like that. But yeah, I mean that's Saponis, isn't that about right? I mean that's kind of what we look for.
Totally, yeah. I mean, if you're going to be spending hours on set with somebody, you don't want somebody that's going to be a big pain in the ass. Knowing that there's other options out there for actors, actors are kind of expendable and replaceable. So I have my choice.
Has that ever happened for you guys working on set where you kind of like met someone you were going to work with and they were so awesome and then you started filming and they became like a complete other person? Because I've had that experience.
I feel like both of you guys just thought of the same person. I don't know why. I just got that vibe.
Yes.
1,000 times yes. I will not. Saponis knows this about me, is that I will never name names, but he'll know people that I'm talking about, and he'll kind of and we've all had similar experiences. But I've definitely been on my share of shoots where I've had an actor come in and say, well, my time is worth this, and this is what my day rate should be, and blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden you get on set and you tell them like, look, our budget is this. We can only afford you at this rate. And they go, you know what? That's fine. That's not a big deal. And then they'll show up and be a completely different person and not know their lines. And, so their commitment to your project is, on par with whatever pay they say, no, it's not worth my time to memorize these lines and give a shit. So I've been on those sets before, and then I've been on other sets. Actually, I've been on another, not a set yet, but like another project where we were going through the casting process, and true colors get revealed very quickly because you can say, yes, I'll do anything for this project. And then the moment you say, you know what, you weren't quite the right fit for the project, we went with this other actor instead. All of a sudden, there's a whole ton of shit posting online where I didn't want to be in this movie anyway, and I hated this project, and the director sucks. And you're like, glad we dodged that bullet because, I would have been on set with you for 10 hours, but you were just kissing my ass because you wanted the part.
Right.
And now, now that I didn't give it to you, you didn't go, hey, best of luck. That's awesome. Good job. Wish it would have gone the other way, but hey, we'll get you on the next one. But you find out very quickly who's truthful and who's full of shit. So
I worked in restaurant management for a really long time, and that's why I asked that question, because I can't tell you how many times I'd read a resume and it would say, oh, I bartended in Manhattan for 5 years and Las Vegas for 3 years, and then you hire the person and they don't even know like the name of
they have no idea.
Hall and stuff. You're just like, oh fuck, man.
Yeah.
So I know, Mark, you have like a pretty extensive IMDb, acting, writing, directing. Obviously you're more into directing, I feel like now, but how are you, like, what is your favorite of all of them? Like, if you could just do one of them forever.
I feel like you segued too easily from the bullshit resume into my IMDb. I don't know if that was a shot at me or not, That
No,
was
no,
a weird bit of timing, but I'm gonna let it slide.
That's a hard turn, Mike. That was a hard turn.
You know what it was? I was gonna ask the other question
Speaking of
first,
bullshit,
but then I
Mark, your
remembered.
IMDb
No.
says that you.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. What the fuck? What was the question? I totally forgot.
Have you ever lied about bartending in Las Vegas? No.
Fuck yeah, all the time. Of course.
So yeah, no. So you've acted before, you've written before, and you've directed before, and I was just curious. Out of those three, different jobs, if you could just do one of them forever, like if someone said you had to pick,
Yeah.
what one would you go with?
So if I pick directing, then I'm not writing at that point.
Right. This
Damn.
is like Genie in a Bottle.
Yeah. Honestly, at that point, then I would probably want to just be an actor. Just because that's where I started and I enjoy that process so much. But I also know myself and I'm too much of a fucking control freak to be like, I'm gonna direct, but it's gonna be somebody else's words. I'm like, no.
I need to own this shit. Yeah.
Right. Like here's the thing. And Saponis, you and Jesse specifically can speak to this, is at the end of the day, when you direct something, you take so much of the criticism. You take so many of the shots on the back end and everybody says, well, this movie was a piece of shit. It was terrible. It was this, it was that. If I'm going to get roasted, I'm going to make all the calls. I'm going to be the one that's going to say, here's the words that you're going to say. I wouldn't be able to drop on set and be like, hey, that's the script. Those are the words. Let's just do it. I couldn't do that in good conscience. So I would have to say, like I said, at that point, I would rather be an actor and just say, look, I'm going to give it my all emotionally. I'm going to give you everything. You guys make all the decisions on the back end, with the cuts and the music and the moments and all that stuff. But yeah, I think if it was anything else, I would have to write and direct. I wouldn't be able to do without that.
So I wanted to redirect this more to Heather and Danny really quick. Since you guys are getting into the acting thing and it's like still relatively a little bit newer for you guys and then the other two gentlemen, any genres you guys want to tackle like outside of horror? Like, do you want to be like do comedy or like, action star hanging from an airplane or something like that? Like, what's on your guys on your docket for the future?
Heather, if you want to go first.
Sure. So it's actually opposite for me. So I had some small roles in some drama series like Blue Bloods, Odd Mom Out. I think it was Madam Secretary, a really small part. It was the horror comedy that I wanted to get more into.
Oh,
and
wow.
I have to say, yeah, the people are great. They don't take themselves too seriously. It's not super uptight. I love to laugh. It's my favorite thing. So it's just wonderful being around these people on set and just chit-chatting and coming up with ideas. It's super creative, all creative types. So it was the opposite for me. I want to get into this more, the horror comedy.
Cool. Mm-hmm. That's very cool. What about you, Dan?
I don't know. It's kind of it's weird. I love comedy. I love laughing too. I love watching, movies like Step Brothers and all this kind of, like movies like that. And I've always wanted to dive more into the comedy aspect because I was in like the Project Before Grind was a war movie and that was more like dramatic. This one's kind of like horror / comedy, so I'm kind of diving a little bit into that little comedy part. But then also like I don't know if this is just like the nerd in me, but like I've always wanted to be in like the action genre. When I was in college, like, doing parkour and free running and like growing up playing like Assassin's Creed, I'm like, oh man, I want to get thrown around and just like let me be like Tom Cruise. Let me jump off a building real quick onto this pad. Like that's just something one day hopefully I can dive into.
All right, Mark, you got a tall order there. He wants you to throw him off a building. So,
You know what? There's only one Daniel and he's the guy, so I can't damage him completely, but I will push it to its very limit as much as possible.
If he's getting killed in Grind, it might have just been up from getting thrown off a skyscraper or stabbed a couple times.
Yeah.
You know what? Like if you look at it, Grind kind of like ticks a few things off of Daniel's checklist right there. Like he gets to do action, he gets to do comedy, horror, and quite a bit of drama. So like he's got some work cut out for him on this one. So he's good.
Horror movies are very well balanced, and I don't think they get that appreciation enough. Like, there's a lot. Like, there's usually, depending on the type of horror that you're telling, so many different disciplines have to get drawn on. But no, comedy horror is definitely super fun. Like, I'm really excited for you guys on this project.
Well, and I think, and this will kind of, I can feed this back over to Saponis as well, because I have no idea what he's planning. One of the things that you always want to leave yourself is you want to build in some room to play. So like even on Grind, we've had those conversations where it's like, let's be aware of the scares, let's be aware of the gore and everything else. But I also want to give you guys room to make it your own and make it funny and kind of have room to play something. If you're like, you know what, I've got an instinct about this. And especially with somebody like Wes Brantley, which is like this whole other icon by himself. It's one of those things where I've literally just given the plate over to Saponis and said, you know what, you come up with whatever you want to come up with. And like, here's the script. And I'm going to give you tons of room to play around with that and just make it your own. So.
So Brian, tell me how this part differs from other parts you've played, in your career and specifically with Mark behind the camera.
Oh, that's a
Without giving much away.
I mean, I've done a lot of dramas, crime thrillers. This is definitely different than anything I've done, which is great because I do have a chance to have fun with it. It's funny because kind of look at Wes Brantley and think, okay, what is this guy? He's kind of a mix between, he thinks he's like a Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson, but he's probably more like a Ron Burgundy.
That's good.
He's going to have a little bit of that in him. So he thinks he's like the best actor in the world. He's like God's gift to action heroism, but yeah, he's not good. He's not terrible at what he does. But he's Ron. He's Wes Brantley. He'll be there for you. He never misses a chance to get in there and help out. So it's finding those kind of moments, I guess, where he's serious and he thinks he's serious and he's playing it serious, but it's just not serious. If that makes any sense at all.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
I'm playing him straight, but he's just not that good.
I mean, listen, everybody's a legend in their own mind, I guess, right?
Pretty much sums it up. And his legend, goes beyond his mind into his world, and he tries to make his world what's in his mind, and it, doesn't always work. But he's a fun guy. He has a great heart, big heart. Just sometimes it's misguided.
I like to ask this question whenever we interview anyone, just because, especially people that are in the business like you guys. We all have favorite movies, ones we grew up watching, ones that we could, when we were kids, we'd put in the VHS and just wear it out. For me, it was The Mask, Jim Carrey, 1994. I've seen that movie 6 trillion times. I can recite it. If you guys had the opportunity to be a part of any remake, where you're like, I love that movie growing up, I have to be in that. What would that film be for you guys?
Anybody else want to go first?
Yeah, whoever wants to go first.
Oh, Dan looks like.
Oh wait, no, I was going nose, but I mean,
Dan's like True Lies. I want to hang from a helicopter.
But no, if there's one movie that I loved as a kid, movies, I am a huge Back to the Future fan. Those movies were just my childhood, and like when I also like doing like voice acting stuff and impressions. And when I was a kid, being like, you tell me we're a time machine out of DeLorean, like, and just doing stuff like that. But oh my God, I saw they made the musical, and I was like, oh, that'd be something fun to be in. I haven't done a musical in a while. But no, if I could be in a Back to the Future remake, I don't care who it is, that would just be so fun.
I can see it. If you shave, I can see a little McFly going on there.
Oh yeah, yeah, completely.
Oh yeah, the voice cracks are there too. I may be 23, but they happen a good bit. So
Be your nickname on set, Marty.
What about
Yeah.
you, Heather?
I think it would have to be something related to the Twilight Zone.
That's
Maybe the one where they're in the hospital and the woman's all bandaged up and she wants to look beautiful, and then they take the bandage off and she's really gorgeous and everyone else's faces are kind of wonky.
Yes.
Did you ever see that one? It's a really
Of
well
course.
known. Something kind of like that would be really cool.
I think Twilight Zone is so ahead of its time for a lot of stuff. I feel like a lot of films, different genres, really draw from a lot of those episodes.
For sure.
What about you, Brian?
Well, first of all, I have to say that I hope, dear God, they never remake it, because remaking classics is just killer. But it's by far and away Raiders of the Lost Ark. Just
Yes.
the best movie of all time.
It
So,
is. It's a great movie. It's near flawless.
It is near flawless, and that is a movie that I don't care when it's on. I don't care if it's on TNT or something, or I'll sit there and watch it, even with the commercials. Even
Have you ever seen the episode of Big Bang Theory where they watch it with
yes, and
Sheldon's
they talk
girlfriend?
about how without Indiana Jones, they still. Yes, I'm like, damn you! Don't do that to me.
That's why it's near perfect. I never thought about it until that episode.
I know. I saw that. I was like, you, and I love the Big Bang Theory too. I've
Oh yeah.
every damn episode of it, and I'm watching that one. I'm like, you sons of bitches.
All right, Mark, you're up because you write and you direct and you do all these things, so you might actually have something in
So-
mind already.
Oh yeah, no, completely. I have two, so I'm gonna do one for the writing, one for the directing. But that's just me being selfish. But I would direct both these. So the two remakes that I would absolutely want to be a part of, and it tells you like what kind of childhood I had, is Flash Gordon. I would absolutely crush the shit out of a Flash Gordon. Like I've got stuff in my head where I'm like, I would do this, I would do this, I would do this. I would kill to do a Flash Gordon remake. And still bring forward like the Queen soundtrack and like update it with like rock stars now. I'm like, that would be amazing. Like Foo Fighters, the Struts doing the sound. I'm like, that would be fantastic. But then the other one that doesn't get a lot of love from the 80s that I think everybody should appreciate because it was like a forerunner of like of visual effects is The Last Starfighter. I think that was such an underappreciated movie. And I'm like, I absolutely love that movie. That's such a good movie. It's just wholesome fun, and I would kill to do a remake of that too.
That was the first movie to use CGI,
Yeah,
to that extent.
and it looks it's so dated now. It hasn't aged well, but that's one of the things where I'm like, I can see where it would be updated. And it's the same thing with Flash Gordon, where you're like, some of these effects are kind of cheesy, but I'm like, but that's the love that I have for it. But you look at both of those movies, and to me, they're both classic sci-fi, and I'm like, they're great, they're fantastic, they're fun, and I would love to do two movies like that.
The Last Starfighter has aged beautifully, Mark.
Oh God, that's
Just watched
fantastic.
it last week, so come on now, love it.
And I had a huge crush on Catherine Mary Stewart, and I still do to this day. Like she is one of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen in my entire life. Like that is hands down perfection right there.
So we have this thing. Well, I have this thing, and you're gonna see my cousin start to wince any second.
I already know it's coming. I already know it's coming.
So my favorite movie of all time
Oh,
is
Jesus.
What is it?
Once Bitten. It has to get mentioned at least once. an
That's
episode.
okay. That's actually good. That's a
So-
good movie.
This is my my genie in a bottle moment from Mark. If you ever feel like remaking a movie, one, can it please be that one? And two, can I please be involved in some way? And also, I think Heather would crush it as the Countess. I think that Dan would be really good as the Jim Carrey character.
Oh.
I think even though her right-hand man in the movie was black, I still think Brian has the range to pull that off. So,
You're not gonna out Cleavon Little.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
there you go.
you can put your own spin on it.
But here's the thing: I would absolutely do a remake of Once Bitten because that is actually a pretty good movie. Only if Daniel can do the guitar thing with his leg that Jim Carrey does during the dance. I swear, like I remember my dad freaking out. He was like, "How did that guy do that? That was amazing!" Like that freaked my dad out when we were kids. Like that, he's good. He's really good. So
That movie ruined school dances for me because I saw that as a kid. When I got to high school and nobody was doing like synchronized dancing. I was like, this fucking sucks, man. Like, this is boring.
And I can't remember the actress's name, but tell me I'm wrong. Wouldn't you have picked Jim Carrey's girlfriend over the Countess at that point, the way she looks in the school dance?
Oh yeah, her name is
In that costume?
Karen Coppins Shaw.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, dude, it actually always baffled me how she never was bigger than she was, because
Right.
I mean, she had like all the makings of like, you know, a classic 80s actress.
Yeah. Yeah, no, completely.
Yeah, that's all right, Daniel. I worked in my Once Bitten somehow, so you're up.
Unbelievable. This like literally this comes up one on camera, off camera. I swear to God, Once Bitten is going to be the bane of my fucking existence. But no, besides that, like my question is typically like you know, what horror movie is your ultimate favorite? Because I always like that. Like if it sounds like most of you really like the genre, like even beyond what you do professionally. So like, what is your horror movie of choice? Because it's always the, you know, is it Chucky? Is it Jason Voorhees? Is it Mike Myers? Like, so that's always my curiosity.
Yeah. You guys want to go first?
Yeah, I do love all the characters. Like, it's funny because I have sitting on my desk, I've got a little desk here, but be that as it may, loving Jason and Freddy and Michael Myers and all that, I think one of my favorite horror movies is Alien.
Oh my God, so good.
Yeah.
Such a good answer.
So good.
That's coming back to theaters for
Yes.
the anniversary. Yeah.
That's so good.
You talking about the Alien or Aliens?
Alien, the first one.
Original. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? The guy that played the alien never did another movie in his life, and he was only in the movie for 4 minutes.
Did not know that.
Yeah, like it's one of the craziest. This guy just vanished off the face of the planet.
You
It's
watch
a
that,
tall guy.
Work.
still get,
Yeah.
still get all like, yeah, damn alien. I know he's somewhere around here.
What about you guys? Danny?
I would have to say Freddy versus Jason. I just think that movie, it has a level of cheesiness to it and a level of, you know, classic slasher-esque stuff. And I think mixing the stuff from Friday the 13th and then mixing it with the stuff from, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street and like mixing them together, it's like, the best of both worlds together in one, and just hearing Freddy say bitch every 5 seconds. But yeah, no, definitely Freddy versus Jason for sure.
What about you?
It's one that not a lot of people have seen, Hellmaster. It's like an
No.
80s. It's not super well known. I love the 80s horror, sci-fi, the blood, the guts, the makeup, all that. That's my favorite. But I guess one that's more well known is Bride of Chucky. I think anytime that's on TV, I would love to watch that. What's her name? Jennifer Tilly, I think, right? Is that,
You watch the
Yeah.
TV show?
good job.
Do you watch the TV show?
No, I don't, because I just love
You
it.
should. You should. It's so good because she's in that too. It's so good. You should definitely check
Oh,
it out.
I love her. She did such a great job.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. And they actually make fun of her too because she watches her scene in Liar Liar with Jim Carrey on repeat on the in the TV show, and it's just funny how she pokes fun at herself. It's pretty cool.
That's very
What about you, Mark?
I would actually say, in my overall like favorite film of all time, for some reason, some people classify it as horror, other people don't, and I'm like, no, it's completely a horror movie. Is Jaws. Like, Jaws is my favorite movie of all time, and it's not just because it's big summer entertainment, it's big crowd pleasing, you know, type of movie. It's just a great film, and it's structured the right way. There's absolute perfection in that movie. And having said that, like I said, it's got some of the best jump scares of all time. Like, if you want to look for the rhythm of a jump scare, how to offset a jump scare by just a half beat, like, that's one of the most perfect ways to do it. But then beyond that, if I'm looking at like a runner up, it's a tie between Aliens and The Fly. Like, those would be my other two runners up. So
And
yeah.
Jeff Goldblum Fly or the original Fly?
Absolutely love that movie. That is one of my favorite movies. And The Thing as well is a fucking classic for a reason. But
The
like
Thing
The
is great.
Fly for like dramatic purposes is just it's such a great movie. Just for acting, just watching him slowly devolve into what he becomes. But yeah, and The Thing and Aliens are like I said, those three are like that's a three-way tie for me right there.
Who are some influences on you? Because I know you mentioned Cronenberg there, and you mentioned Spielberg. Obviously, you mentioned
Yeah.
Carpenter films. Who are like the big influences on your career, like directing wise?
Well, I mean, and that's the reason why I have the Talk to Me Goose. I,
There he is.
it's Tony Scott is my huge influence. I mean, like it's he directed everything from Last Boy Scout, Crimson Tide, True Romance. I mean, Days of Thunder, Top Gun. The catalog of movies that he has is just immense. Some of his movies are absolutely fantastic. Some of his movies are terrible, which is like Domino. I cannot stand that movie.
Yeah, I
Um,
can go on that.
but again, that it was a testament to like, well, at least he was willing to push all his chips on the table and say, I'm going to take a chance, and it may be terrible, and but I'm going to try something different. But I just love like even just on the post production or the back end, listening to him talk about making movies and his process and everything else. So I do take a lot from him. I do steal a lot from him. But then beyond that, it's David Fincher. Peter
David
Hyman is another one
Such a
who did
legend.
Relic.
He's like
Yeah,
my top three.
Yeah, and like there's a little bit of style from everybody that I pull. John Carpenter's another one. They Live is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. So like that's another one where I'm like, yeah, you want to kind of shoot a great widescreen movie, look at a John Carpenter movie, like The Thing, They Live, Prince of Darkness. They're all shot beautifully. So
That's awesome. All right, so one last question I have before we wrap everything up, because I know you guys probably will have stuff to do. So everyone knows the original Predator with Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers. The original Predator was Jean-Claude Van Damme. He was still kind of a nobody, and it kind of looked like a fucking praying mantis.
oh, it was terrible.
And they decided it didn't work. You guys
Yeah.
worked prosthetics. You've worked obviously Wolf Hollow. Has it ever happened where you've had a design for a character in your head or on paper, and you're like, "This is it," and then you kind of get into production, and you're like, "It's not working. We got to go back to the drawing board here."
Honestly, no. Like it's not one of those things, and I think part of that, and I can defer to Ponus on this because I know he's got experience with other suits and stuff like that on other productions. But for me, it's less about that because we deal with such small budgets. We have to absolutely kind of nail our look, our suits, our costuming. We don't have a lot of wiggle room, so it's one of those things where we kind of have to go, let's be very specific in what we want things to look like. And so I'll spend days drawing things out and kind of trying to get the look of something just right. And so then by the time I'm able to get with a designer or a sculptor or an effects artist, I'll go, this is pretty damn near close what I want. So there's not a lot of wiggle room in that. Having said that, though, on Grind, I started off on one end of the spectrum with Heather's design, where I was like, here's what I want the silhouette to look like. And even then, the silhouette right now is pretty much the same, but the actual design of the face and everything else has actually changed completely. And that's been more of just like a budgetary thing. It hasn't been like, oh, this isn't working, we haven't tested it. But we had other options come up from like Japan and things like that, where we're like, you know what? This is a much smarter, much better option. It looks 1,000 times better than what I've got at my disposal right now. And so it changes for those reasons, but not necessarily because it's just not working. But then again, we could get Heather in the suit and we're like, fuck, this is terrible. This is not working at all right now. So we may get there at that point. I don't know.
So when is Grind going to be something we can consume visually? When is the target release date?
So we're going to shoot August is a bulk of our shooting. And then we've got a couple of smaller shoots on either side of that. And And with like Wolf Hollow, we wrapped in August and then we had it done by February. So with Grind though, there are a lot more visual effects shots. So I think we're gonna probably be pushing into like May of next year, May or June of next year, just to give ourselves plenty of time because there's a lot that goes into this one. So more so than Wolf and Massacre, probably combined at this point, to be honest with you.
And can you give us a little synopsis without giving anything away?
Yeah. So a group of filmmakers are holding a Grindhouse Film Festival, and they wind up uncovering or discovering this kind of forgotten movie called The Creeping Chaos. And none of them really know what's on the film reels. So it's kind of like Evil Dead, where they play the movie and then all hell breaks loose, and demons are kind of summoned from the nether world or the nether realm, and all hell breaks loose. Yeah,
sounds pretty awesome. It reminds me of like The Ring or The Gate, or classic films like that. It sounds like you guys are gonna knock it right out of the park.
We were kind of aiming for like demons, like in that kind of general kind of ballpark. So yeah,
dude, it sounds so cool. I can't wait to watch it. I want to thank Danny, Brian, Mark, Heather for coming on. We appreciate you. If you're ever filming in Florida and need an extra, you guys have my email.
Are you saying we should go film the remake for Once Bitten down in Florida? Is that what you're
God,
saying?
he won't shut
Dude,
up.
they did-
He'll be the guy you have to get rid of.
I think Miami could work, man. I don't know. I'm with it.
Hey, you know what? Vampires in Florida and like elderly vampires in Florida. We can work something out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, and you heard it here first. So.
Villages, right?
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Anytime you guys want to come on, just bullshit with us, you're always welcome.
Guys,
Awesome.
thank
Thanks
you.
for having us, guys.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Best of luck.
Have a good one.
Take care.
All right.
All right, so that was the cast of Grind, and yeah, amazing stuff. I really can't wait to watch the movie.
Right,
I
guys.
really like Wolf Hollow.
What's
I
up?
love everything with werewolves, so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it sounds fun. Like I'm really interested in the fact that they're doing like a full prosthetic, which means that like one, practical effects. I'm such a bigger fan of practical effects, but two, it means it's probably going to be pretty lit because it looks like he really is going balls to the wall in this one. So it's exciting,
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I give Heather credit, number one, for wanting to put that stuff on, and number two, for being like absolutely stunning and being totally cool with like covering it up. And Brian too, for wearing crazy suits. Like I give it to those people for like
Two fun facts. Sam Neill in Event Horizon used to have to get to work at 3 a.m. for that final scene where he's all cut up. So he would have to be in makeup for 6 hours for that scene.
Wow.
And two, James Cameron's responsible for how the Predator looks. He was sitting on an airplane next to the costume designer and said, "You should do mandibles," and drew the mandibles, and that became the Predator design.
Yeah, the fucking praying mantis thing was fucking stupid because they wanted Van Damme because he was so like, could do all the karate,
but he
shit.
wasn't physically imposing compared to that cast.
And they also, I think, realized that you can't karate chop somebody in a fucking like 100-pound suit. So
he was way too small. But I mean, Cameron's also penning another Terminator movie.
please.
He's writing it.
Okay. Unless he writes it, directs it, like
Nobody's gonna give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
It's
Like
hard. That's a hard fucking pass for me.
it's too late, dude. Like you had too many bad moves. It's like sports. Like you root for a team and they've been so bad for so long, you kind of like forget about them a little bit, and you're just like, oh, all right.
I mean, prime for a comeback.
Yeah, I gosh.
Yeah. No, but I mean, they all seem like they have solid chemistry though. Like
They seem like
it's
they have a lot.
definitely it's the makings of a good movie. I got very like he said Evil Dead, which I said to you right before we started recording.
Yeah.
I also got Cabin in the Wood vibes for sure, like a choose your own adventure, and I like that they're leaning into demons. That's pretty sick, bro.
Definitely. I told you I mentioned I saw the first Omen, right?
Yeah, I still need to see it. Like the
Yeah.
the problem is, bro, it's like The only movie theater we have by me is iPick, and I don't mind spending $20 on the ticket. I do mind when it's going to be fucking streaming for $25 in a week.
No, dude, I totally agree. Actually, today I'm taking a flight to Tennessee, and my hotel is like down the block from a movie theater. I think on some downtime I have this week. It's the first time I'm going to be away from my son, so I'm a little weary about it. So everyone wish me luck. Same thing, you know. But I think I'm gonna go check out Abigail because Allie doesn't really love those movies. So I'm gonna have downtime by myself, so I might go check that out. The vampire movie.
Enjoy, pal.
I will. What do you got going on?
None. Fucking back to work. The move is done. So, back to the normal grind come this week. And I have my Tesla drive on Saturday. So
A week from yesterday. Enjoy. We'll talk about it next week.
I like it.
All right,
bud.
brother. Be well.
All right.